Hi, welcome to Astrobabble. I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology.
And I'm Lynda from Scallywag Astrology.
And today we are going to be talking about the full moon in Virgo.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just bring up the screen.
It will be happening at the 13th moon mansion. And it is good for increase of trade and your own finances. So not business finances, but your own finances. It's also good for harvest, completion of buildings, and liberation of captives.
Oh, interesting.
The key word is vital energy and the beginning of creative projects. And I got it from the Moon Mansion book from Christopher Warnock. So that's what that is.
Very nice.
It's really good. There weren't a lot of negative things. It's got the flavor of Mercury and Mars. So it's that creative action that you need to get things done.
Nice. Interesting too. You said it's got the flavor of Mercury and Mars, and Mars it's a little bit wide, but it's squaring the full moon. So interesting. Hmm.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
yeah, the full moon's at 16 degrees Virgo and 40 minutes. Um, So yeah, full moons are all about high points, completion, or like a harvest, what was planted at the new moon in Virgo may be coming to some sort of completion at this time, or wherever Virgo is in your natal chart, there may be some sort of theme of completion, high point, or ending regarding matters. So the big one here is the square to Mars at 21
Mm.
degrees of Gemini. It's wide. It's a 5-degree orb between that and 16 degrees of Virgo. Interesting too that full moon is trining Uranus. So Uranus will be at 15. So that's a lot closer. Yeah. So a little bit of a surprise element there, perhaps.
Yeah. Hopefully not too big of a surprise.
Well,
Yeah,
shall we have a look and see what's in store for everybody with the astrology
that sounds
reading
great.
style? What are we, Virgo? Before we read these out
Virgo.
too, yeah, I just want to remind people it's best if you read your ascendant sign rather than your sun sign, which is what people are referring to when you talk about your star sign. There's a reason why it's best to read your ascendant sign. And if you don't understand why, we've got a video we did that explains it all. And I'll put a link to that in the description.
Very nice. Very nice. And if you are a Virgo, this is the time that you're going to feel a lot of things coming to a completion. So, yeah, this is very nice for you are going to have the you're going to have Mars in that 11th or the 10th house for you. So you're what you're known for and how other people view you is going to get a little bit of a either action or hopefully not aggression, but it's definitely the drive that makes you that you will be feeling for if you're a Virgo rising.
Yeah, that Mars too, it's still in the shadow period of its previous retrograde, but it will be, when is it, the 15th that it comes out of the shadow period, I believe.
Yeah, it comes out the
So what's
15th.
that? 8 days afterwards. It kind of falls within that 2-week period. So me and Donna were talking earlier, starting to feel those energies within ourselves, kind of like, yep, getting back on track, want to get this done, kind of like, yes, we can move forward again. And I think everybody to a certain degree is probably feeling that.
Anybody I'm talking to, they're finding that they're just busier with, I mean, all the planets are all direct. So
Mm,
it's almost like everybody is moving in a forward direction, no matter what it is, but it's a forward direction.
yeah,
So
yeah.
at least they're not going too much back all the time.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
always frustrating. And if you are a Leo ascendant, this full moon is happening in your second house. The second house is your house of income and finances and your resources. So there may be a high point, completion, or ending to do with those matters. Maybe there's a bonus at this time. Maybe, there's been a resource that you've been wanting to have or own or buy. And this is a time when you're able to do that, or it comes to you in some form.
Very nice.
That Mars is square in friends, groups, and organizations.
Yeah.
So yeah, could be, yeah, hopefully, as Donna said, not aggression. Maybe this is just maybe you're kind of spurred on by friends or something similar at this time. Maybe you've got people that can help you with career matters, because that 11th house does kind of assist the 10th. Maybe, you've been kind of thinking, oh, I should do this, I should do that. And now here comes somebody perhaps with resources, or even just the push to get you to kind of start moving in that direction. That would be good. I mean, it is a square, but sometimes you need squares to actually move.
Or you might be investing in doing something with friends, either a trip you might be planning or a party. And if you are a Cancer rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your third house. And that's the house of, close, your community and short travel. So this will be bringing things to a fruition that you might have started during the new moon. For this, you'll feel it in your community. It might even be something that you are, it might have something to do with your car. What you use for transportation might be coming to a close, or it might be something that you can more easily acquire.
Yeah.
Also with your cousins, sisters, your siblings, as well as early education.
And if you are a Gemini ascendant, this full moon is happening in your fourth house. The fourth house is our home, our parents, it's our living situation, it's our heritage. It's also real estate matters. So there might be a high point, completion, or an ending regarding these matters. Yeah, you could be moving to a new place. It could be something nothing to do with you. It could have something to do with your parents. That Mars in the first, particularly if you are moving houses, new residents, that sort of thing, could be a lot more energy, having to move around a lot more. Watch perhaps how you communicate with others, because that Mars is in Gemini and it is associated with talking and that. Uranus in the 12th could be some hidden surprises. So something to be aware of. But yeah, hopefully good things, culmination, some sort of high point or an ending regarding those matters.
And if you are a Taurus rising, this is going to be happening in your fifth house. This is the house of your children, what you use to create, as well as the hobbies and fun things and places where you go for fun and hobbies. So that you'll have things that are coming to fruition around your children, around your creative projects, and around the things that you do for a hobby. So I love this. It does have that influence with the Uranus, which is revolutionary. So if you are trying to come up with an idea, this is a great, I think, aspect for thinking. I think this fortnight, or these next 2 weeks, will have some good aspects for Mercury to be involved in that. And it's getting close. It's approaching that sun, getting all in there. So I think this is great for creative projects. This is a great aspect.
Yeah. Don't be frightened to be a little bit different. That's what I'm thinking with that Uranus in the first. Might be a bit expensive though, with Mars in the second. It's gonna leave at the end of, what it was, at the 25th, Donna can't wait because Donna's a Taurus ascendant.
A Taurus rising. Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? For my family specifically, because there's a Virgo, one of them is a Virgo rising, so it just it fits so well with that. It's coming, and I can feel it. I can really feel that energy. It's like it's all coming together, and
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't write weekly horoscopes anymore, but when I used to write them and I was kind of, writing them out what's happening, I was kind of like, yep, that's happening to such and such, and they're this ascendant that fits.
right?
Mm-hmm. And if you are an Aries ascendant, this full moon will be happening in your sixth house. The sixth house is one of the more unfortunate houses, unfortunately, but it's okay. Full moons go through the chart every year. You've survived every other year. So the sixth house is associated with illness. It's also kind of daily activities. It's those that work for us, employees, but that could also include service people. It's also people who work for, of service to society, like doctors, nurses, those in the emergency services, in the military, and such things, and also pets, up to the size of like a dog, I think. What is it that you don't ride them? I think if you're riding them in a 12th
A
house.
sheep, yeah. A lamb, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there could be high points. So like if you are somebody that's in a service-based industry or a service professional, maybe there's a graduation ceremony at this time. Maybe if you've got a pet, it's, maybe this is a time you actually adopt it, or maybe this is a time where it's, been to obedience school and it graduates. Maybe this is a time, perhaps, I'm just having a look with Neptune opposite this full moon. I mean, it's quite wide, but maybe if there's been health issues, maybe this is a time where it's like, aha, this is what it is, because that Neptune kind of blurs boundaries and that. So maybe at this time something comes to light. Yeah, Uranus in the second could be a little bit expensive, unusual expenses. Then again, it could be, sometimes unusual is actually good, or sudden, or surprising. Surprising, shocking doesn't always have to be bad. So hopefully it's a good surprise if there are surprises attached to this. Some sort of high point, culmination, or ending regarding these matters. And it
Very
could
cool.
be just somebody that you work with retires at this time, or gets a new job, or moves on.
Yeah. And if you are a Pisces rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your seventh house. This is the house of the other person. And it could be a significant other, as well as a business partner, as well as getting an appointment with a doctor, hairdresser, or anybody else that you would get an appointment with. This is a culmination of uh, things that happen with committed people. So if you make an appointment, this falls under that category. So if you've been trying to get an appointment, this appointment might come, to fruition at this time, which is
Yeah.
which is nice. And it's in the seventh house, so it's that one-on-one relationship where things might be, if you've started a project with a significant other, it might be coming to fruition. It's yeah, it's where you're reaping the rewards of the work that you've done previously.
Yeah. And I mean, this could be like a romantic relationship too. Like you're kind of, maybe you've been seeing each other casually and now you decide that you're going to be a little bit more committed, or maybe you get engaged or married, or maybe not married. Well, yeah, I'd expect that to be more tenth, but yeah, who knows? And if you are an Aquarius ascendant, this full moon is happening in your eighth house. The eighth house is associated with our mortality and other people's money. So this can include things like inheritances, taxes, insurances, loans, debts. shared finances and resources. So at this time, there may be a completion, an ending, or a high point regarding these matters. Maybe you've applied for a loan and it comes through at this time. Maybe you've been struggling with coming to terms or to agreement regarding, say, a divorce settlement. Maybe this is the time when that comes to some sort of agreement. And that would also be like a high point or a culmination of like that being settled, but it's also the ending of that shared resources sort of thing. But it's not always negative. It could be maybe you've had a huge debt, with the bank. Maybe you're actually paying it off at this time. Maybe a mortgage is being, well, I would expect more fourth house. Well, actually, look at that Uranus in the fourth. Maybe a big debt is being paid at this time. Perhaps maybe it's being finalized. Where's Mars? Mars in the fifth. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just
Sorry, go on.
I was just noticing at this with this particular chart with Aquarius rising, Mars and Saturn are the only planets that are not peregrines. So everybody else is not
Oh,
not have access to their stuff.
yeah.
So
That's really interesting.
yeah, when Mars and Saturn are the only planets that have the tools
Do
to
what they
work
want.
to do what they want to work with. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Mars isn't Peregrine. He's got a bit of strength, but yeah, not a super amount. But look at Saturn. Saturn's just like, but I mean, Saturn's been in Capricorn and Aquarius, which it rules both signs for so long, and I think it's what 3 hours or something after this full moon, it moves into Pisces. So this is the last
Yes.
grand hurrah for a while. It's going to take a deep dive after that. So yeah, that is interesting. That Saturn can't see the full moon though. It's in inversion. Mars is the other malefic and it's squaring it. So, but isn't that interesting? They're both malefics and they're the only ones with any power. And then we've got, Uranus, which can be a little bit malefic-like at times. So, kind of sextiling it.
Yeah, in the fourth house. So
yeah. Yeah, and because Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn, this is significant because Saturn is your chart ruler. So Saturn's important. So for you, it's your chart ruler. It's very significant. Interesting. It'll be nice to have Saturn out of your first house. Aquarius ascendants, have you lost weight over the last 2.5 years? Because that's what they say when Saturn goes through the first house, you tend to lose weight. But when I had Saturn in the first, I also had Jupiter. So, and Jupiter wants to expand.
well, well,
And
at least
Jupiter
you
won.
had a fighting chance.
Oh well. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm gonna believe in the power of the peregrine planets to. You got to have a workaround, and I believe these planets can and should. I'm hoping anyway.
So Capricorn is if you are a Capricorn rising, this is going to be happening in your ninth house. And that's a great house if you are if you've been writing a book or if you've been doing any publishing, any kind of legal work. This is all going to be, and especially with Pluto in there in your first house, this is all going to be coming to fruition. So it are very transformative. It feels like that with Pluto in your first house, it just feels like there's going to be some kind, and this has something to do with either higher education as well as publishing, the law, the esoteric subjects, philosophy. You might be feeling a change or a transformation within, because a lunar event does have a lot to do with how you feel towards things that are more inward than say outward. But yeah, this is a good time for transformation. It's going to happen between that on that ninth house, which is great.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yes, I'm a Capricorn ascendant.
Well,
And
then publishing.
oh, yeah, well, the internet's included in that, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So, yeah. And if you are a Sagittarius ascendant, this full moon is happening in your 10th house. And the 10th house is career and public reputation. So there could be a high point, a culmination, or an ending regarding these matters. It's also authority figures. So that could be bosses or just authority in general. Some people kind of include parents under that. But generally speaking, we're talking about career and public reputation. So for whatever reason, you're getting a lot of attention at this time. It could be something, well, you got Mars in the 7th, maybe something's going on with relationships. You've got Sun, Neptune, and Mercury in the 4th house of home and family. You got both benefics. You've got Jupiter and Venus in the 5th house of fun, romance, socializing, entertainment. So yeah, for whatever reason, there's some attention on you. It could be something to do with work. It could be just you're completing a project at work. It could be, yeah, it could be you're getting married, all sorts of things. For whatever reason, there's more attention on you than usual. I do like to remind people that it's also the house of infamy. So yeah, if you're misbehaving, that's kind of also likely to be under the spotlight. But then we've got the square to Mars and the trine to Uranus in the 6th house. So yeah, look, have fun. It should be a good time.
And if you are a Scorpio rising, this is going to be happening in your 11th house. And that is the house of your hopes and dreams, as well as your associations with your friends, groups. Yeah, and this is that house where you want your hopes and dreams to appear. And with this moon and coming to a full moon, you very well might, if your natal chart is supportive of it, having your hopes and dreams come to a fruition. So if you are a Scorpio rising, this is what's going to be happening with in this next fortnight. It's this is the house where those things will be coming to fruition. So if you've been working on something with your groups and associations, your hopes and dreams, this might be the time where it all comes together for you.
Nice. And if you are a Libra ascendant, this full moon is happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is hidden and secret matters. It's places of retreat and confinement. So that could be a spiritual retreat or just going away and kind of locking yourself away and working on something, or just taking time out to recharge your batteries. It could be places of confinement. So that could be hospitals, that could be prisons, that could be just somewhere where you don't particularly want to be, but you feel like you can't leave. This could be some sort of completion, ending, or high point. So if you've done that, you've kind of locked yourself away to do something, or taken time out to, take a breather. This might be the time where you kind of like, okay, that's enough. I can come back out into the world now. Mars in the 9th. Donna was saying earlier, 9th house is associated with publishing and that. So great time if you've been spending time away writing or whatever. Great time. You've had that Mars there. You've got the benefics in the 7th house too. That's nice. And then Uranus in the 8th. That's a little bit more challenging, but yeah.
Sucking element.
Yeah, something surprising there, but that could be loans, debts. And as we were saying earlier, surprises don't always have to be horrible. They can be quite good sometimes. And Uranus is, it's often said to bring freedom, but like be a pain in the butt before you get that freedom sometimes. So, And Donna, do you have a crystal for us?
I do. I have a crystal. I have been working with it for a couple of years now, and it's called Vanadinite. It is now this is a pretty red color. And I've got a couple of them. They're very small. They're you can see how small it is compared to the rest of my hand. Okay, so I do have a bigger piece. It goes from red to a brownish color.
Okay.
Hopefully you can see it better. It's associated with the element of fire. It is one of the rarer kinds. It's not like you can find quartz almost everywhere. You can find citrine pretty much everywhere. There's a lot of stones that you can just find anywhere. This is not one of them. It's only found in Morocco, New Mexico, and Arizona.
Oh wow.
I've been working with this stone. It is mostly on the lower chakras, on the root, the sacral, the solar plexus. It how I've been working with this, especially with Mars going through my second house, is it reduces spending. It cuts your spending. So when
Nice.
you're when you're trying to go Christmas shopping, I always go over budget. I always do. It's just one of the things I do. Anyway, this kind of makes it so you don't go over budget by too much.
You're not guaranteeing that you won't go over budget, just not by too much.
Just keeps it in check. Yeah. So if you're going to go out and buy shoes, this is the perfect stone to work with ahead of time. So you're only coming with one pair of shoes, not 6. It's got a hexagonal crystal system. You can see that the crystals are kind of hexagonal. If I can turn it. It can be even hollow. It activates the lower third chakras. It's in according to the Book of Stones, which is my go-to source usually. It's good for supporting energy for hard work. So with the Virgo full moon, I thought this was great because Virgo is known for the hard work that they do. They're always at the daily, doing whatever needs to be done. It also provides earthly connections as far as what you would use for connecting with the earth. Like if you were a dowser and you were looking for like where the water is, this is the stone to work with. If you're looking for mining, I would suggest this would be the stone to work with. It gives you that connection with the earth that's under your feet. So but I like it for the root, kind of gives you that ability to sense what's needed in your surroundings, that type of energy. And that's why I absolutely love this stone. I've been working with it for that's the matrix that it grew on. But yeah, so this is more of a browner, and you can tell the difference. One's very red and one's very brown. So this is a stone I've been working with for a while, and I absolutely love it. It has a Mohs hardness, and that's why this one is in 3 pieces. It is got a Mohs hardness of 3, so it's not really good for jewelry. What inspired me to get a storage system where my crystals have their own house to live in, because it's only a Mohs 3, or it's got a Mohs hardness of 3, so it's very brittle. It can be broken very, very easily. But it's
if you
very
keep it
nice
with
stone.
if you keep it with other harder crystals, they can kind of damage it. Okay, interesting.
But it's a really soft, easy energy. If you if you are working with it, and it would be in one of those stones if I were wanting to straighten up, this would be the stone that I would wear, because it gets that spatial, like what's needed in the space and what's not. So
Oh,
that's
interesting.
kind of the energy that it has. It's very nice and very effective, very nice
Mhm.
and effective. Because you want to buy stuff for Christmas, but you don't necessarily want to buy things that are not needed, wanted, or
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
it just really helps with the whole
Yeah. Yeah. There's
shopping
no
thing.
good buying, $100 worth of stuff if it's stuff that they don't
Right.
want. Yeah. Yeah. It's like you may as well just throw that money away. Yeah. Hmm.
Right. So I would associate the planets with it would be like a Saturn planet, because for that root, that grounding and boundaries of things. It also
Mhm.
is mercurial, because where's the wiser places to spend your pennies. And I think it has a little bit of that fire. According to the Book of Stones, it
Mm.
does resonate with fire, but it does have that action to connect. So I really like the stone, and it's called Vanadinite.
Okay.
And
Cool.
I will take a picture of it and write
Mhm.
an article, and you will be linking to it, hopefully.
I will. I will indeed.
Perfect.
Mm.
Yeah. It's a great stone.
Excellent. And let's have a look because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of things happening in the next 2 weeks. We were talking about this earlier, and we said that we've had a fairly easy couple of podcasts, the last few ones, but now we've got quite a few to get through. So this is going to be possibly a longer than usual podcast. So, but if you're watching or listening, there should be timestamps that will tell you if you're only interested in this specific aspect, you can jump ahead. So,
So the first aspect that we are going to be face to face with after the full moon is going to be Saturn is going to jump right to Pisces. But Saturn's moving into Pisces just an hour and a few minutes later.
yeah, less than an hour later. Yeah, that's interesting.
So
We were talking, I think Saturn had the essential dignity of +10, and it goes down to +1 because it's no longer in the sign that it rules. It all it has is
Pace.
face, which is the bounds, isn't it?
No, the Decan.
The decans, that's right. I always mix those two up. Yeah, so Saturn in Pisces. Saturn's been in Capricorn and then Aquarius for must be about 4 years or so. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah. It moved into Aquarius March 20th, or that
Yeah, I'm
weekend,
thinking
because
when it
I
moved
think it was actually March 20th.
into
But
Capricorn.
when
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, it looks like since about 2018 we've had it more or less in Saturn in a sign that rules. So it's been pretty strong since 2018. Possibly went back into Sag for a little while, but that's a long time to
In its own rulership for
yes,
18,
yes.
19, 20, almost 5 years.
Yeah, well, that would be about right. About 2.5 years, they say in a sign, and usually, like all the other signs that are ruling, like say Mercury, so Gemini, excuse me, and Virgo. There's space in between them. It's not just one big chunk all at once. It's Saturn's the only one that's kind of got those two signs. Takes its time. But yes, we're free of that. Yeah, it'll be different. It's going to be in Pisces, which is a mutable water sign ruled by Jupiter. So more adaptable. In Aquarius, it was quite fixed. It's a water sign, so a little bit more emotional. Pisces is quite often quite a dreamy kind of. A lot of people are expecting a lot of, I suppose, artistic stuff going on with this. I don't know. What do you think, Donna?
I know I am. Well, Saturn gives you that structure. It still has some dignity. So it still it still can, produce positive results. And Saturn is losing quite a bit. It's losing 9 points in strength, moving from just one sign to, into Pisces. So it's not going to be as strong for those people that have a hard time with Saturn. I
Yeah, I
am
just think of that.
hopefully not one of them.
Particularly night charts. Yeah.
Particularly the night charts. I'm a day chart, so I try not to worry about Saturn um as much as those people who are born at night.
Yeah. Wherever Pisces is in your natal chart, there may be more structure, more stability. This is also the planet of no, or needing to learn about boundaries, or patience and diligence, and it can be it can be it can be challenging. This isn't the
Denial and constriction as well.
yeah, this isn't the quick, happy, enthusiastic Jupiter. This is Saturn. He's here, to teach us things. I was going to say, I think I've heard too that Saturn, when it leaves a sign, it kind of can give you a gift. So, oh, that would be nice. It's leaving my second. I don't think it's going to leave me any gifts. He doesn't like me.
That's leaving my 10th.
So, Saturn, wherever it is in your natal chart, there may be limitations, restrictions regarding some areas of your life, regarding those topics or people associated with that house. But, you may also be, building that strong foundation regarding those people or topics.
Right. And this is going to affect the Pisces rising people, because the Pisces rising, they've been going on with, no boundaries, and, having that dreamy kind of aspect. And you've got Saturn going, hey, shore up the wall. This is the boundary, and so it might be a little rough for the Piscean risings.
Actually, that's the
because they're certainly not used to that abruptness of, this is the rule. So
that's really interesting. My son is Pisces ascendant. One of them's a Pisces ascendant, and literally it's kind of like, I've got to grow him up. He's got to take more responsibility. He's got to do that. And, it's coming to a kind of culmination of that sort of topic. Yeah, it fits. It's kind of like, that's what I literally say. I have to grow him up. He has to mature. So yeah, it fits really well.
Well, it's going to have a nice entry there. Venus is going to receive that right there in her terms. So it's going to have a nicer, a gentler flavor. I'm hoping.
For Pisces, it will be to do with their vitality and how they appear to others, because the ascendant is how we dawn on others, how other people view us, as well as our appearance. Oh, actually, he'll be really happy to hear about that, because he's working on losing weight and been working hard. So maybe some actual results now.
Very nice.
So
yeah, there are positive things with all of these aspects. There's a positive way to handle the energy, and there's a negative way to handle the energy. I think our job as the collective, humans on the planet, if we can express that more positively, I think we will advance as a human race a little bit quicker. So try to stay on the positive. After that, all that the full moon and Saturn moving in, do we have like a 1, 2, 3, 4 day break?
Yeah,
3 or 4 day break.
Yeah,
no planetary action
to recover.
So. Well, as I always have said, when a planet moves into a sign, journal, because it's going to be impactful, because they just tended to make an impact.
And those people that have Saturn in Pisces, I know that even if it's 15, 20, however many degrees of Pisces, I know a lot of people believe that when Saturn moves into the sign, you can start to feel the effects of that. because I mean Saturn's slow moving. It's not going to be just like overnight. It's a slow moving thing, and it'll probably build up to a crescendo when you actually have the conjunction.
It is one of our slower planets. And Saturn goes around the zodiac every 27, as Lynda was saying, 27, 30 years. So it is a very slow moving planet. It's one of ours. It's the slowest moving planet in our, in
The
Hellenistically,
traditional seven,
it was
yeah, the
this,
traditional
yeah,
seven
it was
planet.
the slowest planet, the farthest out. So it's the farthest away from the sun. So it's the coldest.
Mm.
It's slow, and it takes 27 to 30 years to go all the way around. So
Yeah, yeah.
this is a slow mover for sure. But you will feel it with of the other planets that you have in your natal chart. You'll
Mhm.
feel it.
Yeah. And then we have Venus sextile Mars on the 11th of March.
Yeah. And this is that female male energy. It's a good aspect, so maybe there'll be better communications between the female male, type of themes. Hopefully it won't be too, it's not a hard aspect, or not. No, it is an easy aspect. I mean to say that, but hopefully the uh interactions between males and females is on the nicer side.
Venus is in detriment because she's in Mars sign Aries. So at least they've kind of got some reception there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, Mars and Venus, they're an archetypal pair. They go well together. They're very different energies. You got if you want to describe it as a feminine and the masculine kind of energies. And yeah, just kind of, this can be quite sexy. It's, yeah, just really nice.
And then the next day, Mercury will sextile Uranus. And that is a great aspect if you are trying to um, think through a problem. If you are trying to problem solve, if you are brainstorming, this is a great aspect for trying to get things done. We have a lot of stuff to go through, so this might help you if you understand an energy. Use this day and this aspect to try to think through potential problems. This is wonderful for it.
Yeah, I like Mercury, Uranus soft aspects. So either the sextile or the trine, kind of eureka ideas, kind of like sudden aha moments. Mercury is in Pisces, so it is in detriment and fall. That just means that it's not so good with the nitty gritty. It's more interested in the big picture ideas. Uranus is quite far seeing, and it's interested in the revolutionary and the new. So this could be a really good time for creative, not necessarily overly practical ideas, but that doesn't mean that they can't be refined later. But yeah,
Good day to
we'll see.
good day to think outside the box.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Actually, great keyword for that. Thinking outside the box.
And then on March 14th, we're going to have Mars squaring Neptune.
Mm.
This will be on the, as I was saying earlier, a positive and a negative manifestation of this is yelling at somebody and you really don't have your facts right, which would be the worst thing to do. And that's exactly what a Mars Neptune does. You could go off on somebody and not really quite know. I'm looking at the date. I'm like, okay, March 14th. Don't go. Don't stand on a soapbox. That's the day where you could be very misled on your actions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that sun's coming up very close to that Neptune, so it's not just, that blurriness and that. It's kind of like almost our ego or our. Do you know when, like, sometimes, well, there's an expression, this is the hill I'm going to die on? It's like you'll put up with this, and this, but that's just a bit too far. And I kind of get that sort of energy with this, but it could be quite misguided. Maybe you're fighting with someone who's not even disagreeing with you. You know, you've made an assumption. Yeah, confused anger, misdirected anger, can also, I believe, what's the word? Kind of dissipate energy, because Mars is not just anger, it's also that energy, that drive, that ambition. Mars just wants to go forward, and Mars is just about, it's not quite, but at this time it is almost out of that retrograde shadow period. Still kind of not caught up to where it was when it did start retrograding. We're almost there. And this could be, you know, Mars is impatient in general. You know, you may just have the complete wrong end of the stick when it comes to anger, aggression, or even drive. Maybe you're kind of thinking, oh, I need to do this, and you know, it's misdirected. You know, you should have been doing this. And you know, it's like, the thing that popped in my head was like you're trying to put in like a flat pack, you know, IKEA thing, and you kind of got all the tools out and you've done it all, but then you've put it on wrong or back to front. You know, it's, yeah, not good.
But on the positive, you could have action towards creative outlet.
Yeah, maybe, yes. And you know, maybe depleted energy would not be a bad thing for some people. I don't know. It's, yeah, look, all these energies, it's not all black and white. It's not, this is a trine or a sextile, so it's easy and it's good because they can make you complacent. Sometimes you need those oppositions and those squares to get you moving. So yeah, maybe you've been enjoying yourself a bit too much, and now you kind of got that spur to actually, I need to do these things, and kind of, yeah, I don't know.
So however you want to use the energies, that's exactly why you're listening to this, so that you're prepared. At least things won't come to you as a shock. You'll go, oh, okay, well, I knew that was coming and this could happen. So you've been warned.
Yeah, this is
So
an
the next,
interesting couple of days.
yeah. Oh, well, on the 15th, yeah, we have the sun is going to conjunct Neptune.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's an aspect where for sure you're not going to see a lot of things clearly, I would suppose.
Yeah, I think it'd be very easy to kind of delude yourself at this time. Neptune, just what am I not seeing? It's blurry, it's romantic, it's idealistic, it can be very altruistic. It can be a really nice energy, but and maybe you go and do something. Maybe you are doing something altruistic. Maybe you're doing something really good. And actually, that might be a really nice use of that with that square to Mars. Actually having the drive and the energy put into doing something for humanity, for society, for others, perhaps. That could be a really nice use of that. But it could be a little bit self-deluded, could be very creative, as you were saying with Neptune, Mars, putting energy into, you know, a creative pursuit, which, yeah, if it was creative, I'm kind of thinking almost like Salvador Dali, or those kind of, you know, what are those ones with the melting clocks and all that
Abstract,
sort of stuff? Yeah, kind of,
abstract.
yeah, surrealism or something. I don't know. I'm not up on art, but yeah, just very, very surreal and very, yeah, not clearly defined and easily pigeonholed. Kind of, this is,
Yes.
yeah, it kind of seeps out of that box and it's kind of moving around and doing what it wants. And yeah.
And this is the same day as you were alluding earlier, where Mars is going to be out of its shadow period.
Yeah.
So all those issues that you were facing back and forth are going to have been cleared up, they've been taken care of by now, and you know, we can move on with Mars can move on with no baggage.
Yeah, I'm really, really hoping so. Like I was saying to Donna, I think, well, what's today? Today is the 28th of Feb here. I'd say probably since about 26th of Feb, it's kind of just like really kick-started I'm feeling it. No, I know a lot of other people are feeling it. And maybe come the 15th of March, maybe it will be full steam ahead. I certainly hope so. Mars will be in Gemini. It won't leave Gemini until about the 25th of March, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
It will have been in Gemini for a good 7 months by that time. So we'll all say goodbye. Don't come back anytime soon. It will go into Cancer then, where it's actually in fall. So it won't be awfully powerful, but at least it won't be in Gemini. And I should imagine if you're a Gemini ascendant, that's going to be like a big relief, particularly for Gemini ascendants, I would imagine. Or Taurus ascendants who are finally going to get it out of their second house of resources.
Very fun times. It just, just because it's a Mars, a malefic, it means action. It doesn't necessarily mean horrible things all the time.
Yeah. See,
Yes,
like
I have had my scrapes and my falls with Mars.
yeah.
Because it is my malefic planet, and yeah, I have bled from Mars.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it has some nice aspects, it's not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Mars, yeah, but I'm a 9 chart, so and I got a strong Mars, so
Yeah, it can be good. Especially if you use Mars to your advantage. It's meant for drive.
you
So
use your
moving
Mars
on.
power for good or evil.
Well, yeah, I have Mars in Leo, so I do have drive there in my fourth house. So yeah, and I do. I do have a lot of activity in
Mm.
my home. But I also do fall off ladders. I try not to go on ladders.
Yeah, yeah. Try not to rush
Or
because
handle
yeah,
sharp objects. Yeah, that's my biggest thing. I can cut myself literally so easy.
yeah.
Yeah, but enough about me. Let's move on.
Is
And the
this the next
16th,
one?
we'll have three
Sorry.
aspects. Yeah, just the following day.
Mhm.
So the first one will be Mercury is going to conjunct Neptune. So if you thought you had a good idea, you might want to hold on to it. Um, Mercury is that planet of communication and commerce as well. But it gives you the Neptune it might blur things a bit.
Mm, mm.
And Mercury is that process, it's commerce, it's communications. So
Yeah, so we've got Mercury, which is in Pisces, as we said earlier. It's in detriment and fall. It's not very strong. It's very creative, though. So, and it is melding, which is what a conjunction is. It's when they look to be right next to each other with Neptune. So, can be great for creative pursuits. If you're trying to think outside the box, if you're trying to do all that sort of thing, be creative, great. It's still got that square to Mars. Maybe you actually do something about it rather than just thinking about it. But, probably not the best time to be signing contracts. Mercury usually is really good at that sort of stuff. It drills down. It can get very in-depth and very granular with that sort of stuff. This is a Mercury that's ruled by Jupiter, which is all big picture. It's all pie in the sky and it's enthusiastic and optimistic. It's not the most practical though. So if you can if you can avoid signing documents or things that are super important, that it really requires that everything's on point, not the best day for it. So yeah, if you can avoid doing it on that day, I would. Neptune can also be a little bit deceptive. It's altruistic, it's idealistic, it's romantic. You might be very dreamy, all that sort of stuff. Great thoughts, not only creative, but maybe you're feeling very compassionate towards others. But yeah, it can also be deceptive. So just be aware of that. Things that you hear might not be necessarily true. We do have that square to Mars. I was talking before about how that could be if you do have these creative ideas. Maybe you can put that energy and actually use that square to move. But this could also be you hear something or you think you hear something and there's anger or pushback or aggression regarding it. Just be aware that what you think you heard might not be the actual truth, or it might not be what the person actually said. Just, this is kind of, everything's blurry. It's like listening to something underwater, and it's just try not to rise to the bait. Perhaps if somebody's baiting you, it might not be true, or just make sure you got your facts straight.
Good advice to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, on the upside, this is an aspect that I think it would be nice for artistic pursuits.
Yeah, it could be very nice for that. And I mean, you've got both Mercury and Neptune conjunct the sun, it could be very nice, but yeah, it could be a real mess.
But we have free will, so grab a paintbrush and set the pen down.
Yes, maybe a good time to be creative somewhere alone. And the same day on the 16th, this is up in the US, we have Sun square Mars. Donna's just over here dying.
Hi. This is the day I am not picking up a knife. Family news. I am not cooking that day. Yeah, this is a day where, with that square is could cause action, and it's a day to be careful if you are a day birth.
Yeah.
Sure. The square to Mars, the sun is your vitality. The Mars is drive, aggression, separation, bleeding, hot. That's what Mars represents. And with the square, you don't need to go looking for trouble if you already know it's there. So if you're listening to this, it's there.
Yeah. And I mean,
just be on the more cautious side. This is not the day to be taking the chances. If you have never been skydiving, probably not a good idea to do it. Not today. Tomorrow is fine, but not today.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that Mars is also impatience and haste, and it can be accidents and that. So yeah, just be careful. I mean, it is a square, and that sun is, we've got the sun, Mercury, and Neptune all at 25 degrees of Pisces, squaring Mars at 25 degrees of Gemini. Yeah, your head's in the clouds with that Mercury, Neptune, quite possibly. You're not paying attention, and like Donna said, you're slicing tomatoes and suddenly, you slice the tip off your finger or something. Just really needs to be, just pay attention. If something's a little bit dangerous or could go a little bit wrong, just watch that. And Mercury is often associated with transportation and that, say cars and that. Just pay a little bit more attention while you're driving, and don't be picking up that phone, and you shouldn't be doing that anyway, but don't push your luck.
Exercise a little bit of caution.
Yeah, funny how all these ones kind of all blend into each other.
Well, it's astrology works, and astrology will help you. Astrology will set you up for, this is the direction we're going, and then when the event finally appears, you're like, oh, okay, that's what that was about. So, it's not like you go from, into a hot spot from the throne to a hot spot. Rarely. I mean, I suppose you could, but it's more of a gradual, we're moving everybody over to this platform. It's really if you pay attention to the planetary energies, they actually do nudge you to the path that you want to be taking.
And these are all very general. We're looking at it for kind of very general for everybody. This isn't taking into account what's happening in your individual chart. It's very general keywords of what these planetary energies, how they might manifest. And different areas of your chart. And there's various different ways that they can work. These aspects, it's not just like, oh, well, here comes a Venus square Pluto, and then the next day you know, incomes, you know, this other aspect. It's like you, particularly when you do have some kind of 3 or 4 happening at once, and some of them are good and some of them are not so good. You know, you might be listening to this and like that never happens to you because it wasn't really making an impact on your chart, or it was a minor inconvenience that was barely worth noting on your radar. But, you know, or there's a, how would you put it? A combination of good and not so good things happening in your day, you know. But yes, Venus square Pluto happening on the 16th as well, early afternoon in the US. Interesting. So Venus is at the very end of Aries here. So she is in detriment there. She's not in a good position. She's just about to change into Taurus, which we will get to very soon, where she will be a lot stronger. Well, how strong is she here? She's -4. She's not doing well at all. She's got face, which is the decan. She's in her own decan. That's about it. But yeah, she's going to square Pluto, which is depth and intensity and honesty and transformation. So I can kind of see this being jealousy, obsession, you know, intense discussions. This could be positively, this could be like really intense, deep and meaningful conversations or relationships, or even really moving, like if you're really into art and all that, perhaps you are particularly moved by an incredibly moving piece of art or some sort of cinema or something similar. Could have to do with your values as well, but the square is challenging. Pluto can be quite, I don't even know what word to describe it. I want to say intense, but intense doesn't even kind of describe it sometimes. It's at the 29th degree, 52 minutes of Capricorn. It's just about done with Capricorn. It's not fully done with Capricorn because he's going to come back a couple more times. So, but he's going to dip into Aquarius, I think on the 23rd. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think around about the 23rd of March.
Yeah.
So yeah, March is a big month.
Yes.
A lot of things setting up, moving on. He will duck back into Capricorn. Don't worry, Capricorn, he's coming back at least twice more. But yes, yeah, this is 29th degree. It can often be, it's called the anoretic degree. It's quite,
It's the anoretic degree that it's the planets are saying, you know what, I've lived with this conversation for a while and I'm done with it. I'm ready to move on. So they're trying to clean it up. But the Pluto and Venus is about the power struggle, you know, between men and women. It's also a power struggle between you know, the other aspects in your life. Bosses might be as well, spouses, significant others. This is the signification of a power struggle, and Venus is not sitting in favor. She's still peregrine. Yeah, she's still peregrine. So no, she's not.
yeah, she's in her own decan.
Yeah.
She's still
So
very
she has a little bit of power, but still the square to Pluto is
Persephone.
that Hades theme that is still, you know, going on with the power struggles in your life.
Yeah. I mean, I think Venus is, yeah, she's moving at 122% of her usual speed. So we've got a day or two of maybe intense stuff going on. And I mean, if you've got planets or chart points around about 29 degrees of the cardinal signs, so Aries, Capricorn, Libra, or Cancer, you may be feeling this impact more. Venus is going to move on pretty quick. She's going to escape into Taurus, where she's quite strong. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah, no, this is intense. It can be honesty, depth. I think this could be maybe helpful for moving some situations forward, perhaps relationships, but not without, I don't want to say drama,
Some
but
kind of change.
yeah, without, you know, this isn't a light, happy, breezy aspect. This is deep and perhaps challenging. Yeah. Perhaps cleansing, perhaps. That would be nice.
Yeah.
We'll see. And speaking of which, later that day, Venus enters Taurus, late afternoon in the US. Oh, she'll be
Yes.
at a score of 10 then for her essential dignities, because she's going to be in the sign that
Yes.
she rules. She's going to be in her own bound. Oh, and triplicity if you are a day chart. So, well, for day charts anyway. So yeah, nice position for her. She's still within that 1 degree for a little while of that square to Pluto that we were just talking about previous. And I usually like to look at about 1 degree either side, but I know a lot of people say 3 degrees either side. So that could be 3 or 4 days. But the most intensity of that square would have been earlier that day. But yeah, she's kind of gaining some strength here. So she starts off quite weak when that Pluto square happens, when she first squares Pluto. And then she kind of, I was going to say
Into power.
mans up. I was going to say she almost mans up, but she's not a man. She's which is ironic because she was in a very masculine sign beforehand. She womans up.
She woman's up. It's a very good sign. It's a sign that she rules and she's in her own space. She's in her own triplicity. She just has a lot of power right now.
Yeah, yeah. And she's getting very close to that North Node too, which can increase or what's the word? Yeah, increase, elevate. Yeah. Yeah. So Venus in Taurus, wherever Taurus is in your natal chart, Venus is one of the benefics, so it does tend to bring nice things to the topics or people associated with that area of your chart. Donna's over here celebrating because she's a Taurus ascendant. I've got Taurus in my 5th house, which is a very nice house to have Taurus in. So yes,
Very nice.
that will be nice.
Much to look forward to.
Yeah, Venus she's good here. She's calm, collected. She's an earth sign. She's very sensual, can be quite fixed. But yeah, I kind of think of her as the earth mother in this sign.
Very
So
nice.
wherever Venus is, you may have some benefit or some sort of, not necessarily a gift or something, but good things happening. The benefics do tend to bring good things.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that Venus Uranus, which is going to be happening later. That'll be interesting. It won't be in this forecast. It'll be in the next one. That'll be fun. Venus and Uranus. Expect the unexpected.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got Mercury square Mars. So yes, fighting words. Interesting. Mercury sandwiched between Neptune and the Sun at this time. That's something that we're going to look at, and I will actually put in the description when we get to the Mercury cazimi. But Mercury has been within, it's been too close to the Sun, so it hasn't been visible. When a planet is within about 15 degrees of the Sun, it's not visible. When it's within about 8 degrees, it's called combust. It's burnt up. It's too close to the Sun, sort of thing. So this poor Mercury, it's in fall. It's in detriment. It was under the beams. Now then it's combust, but it is going to come up for its cazimi. And some people, well, actually, this will be within. Well, that's helpful, actually. It's going to be within even the medieval definition of cazimi at this time, which is 16 minutes. This is, they're both at 26 degrees, the Sun and Mercury. Mercury's at 5 minutes, the Sun's at 19 minutes. So that's 14 minutes difference. So it will be within the definition of a cazimi, even a strict definition. Some people allow 1 degree. So, yeah, so with Mercury being cazimi, some people believe it gives it extra strength. I do like the idea of it being like a man who's been sick and he's been on his sick bed and he's kind of recovered. The fever's broken. He's no longer in danger, but he's still not 100%. And I think that's quite applicable for this Mercury. I'm a Mercury in Pisces. I don't think of it as weak. But the simple fact is it's in detriment. It is in fall. It has been burnt up by the Sun. As soon as it moves past this cazimi, it is going to be under, it's going to be combust again. It's going to be under the beams. It's going to take a while until this Mercury gains some strength, though it will be within the next 2-week period because it moves into Aries. So it must be, I think it's still going to be under the beams, but at least it won't be in Pisces. Having said that, yeah, with the square to Mars, this is fighting words, and I think it's going to be all a big mistake. It's all going to be a big, what's the word, misunderstanding for a lot of people.
I wonder if this could be an opportunity when Mercury is cazimi in the sun. That is, it's almost like it gets special power. It gets the king's ear. It does. I wonder if you can have a speech that might be transformative. Not calling him Pluto, but going towards Mars, because Mars is that action, Mercury is that speech. So I wonder if that speech could propel action.
I like that. I like that a lot, particularly since that Mars is in Gemini and it's inspired or it's energized by words. I like that a lot. Yeah. And, you know, you're thinking about like rousing historical speeches, like, say, the Gettysburg Address, or there's a speech about St. Crispin's Day in Henry V sort of thing. There's a lot of, you know, it's amazing how you can empower and embolden people with the right words. And yeah, this could be a really, really good use of that energy, and perhaps an ideal situation for this. Yeah, I like it. Well spotted.
So definitely a day to watch, guys.
Yes.
Either you'll see something very positive or you will see a train wreck.
What's that light at the end of the tunnel? It's a train.
Right. Jody is sitting on the track. Yep.
No,
yeah. So that. You know, it you know, it depends on how you want to use that energy. So be inspiring, or, you know, don't give it a thought and create chaos.
Yeah. if somebody kind of, you know, starts bickering, yeah, just be aware. I would be trying to clarify, what exactly did you say, or what do you think I said? There's a lot of confusion here, but maybe this is like the best time to try and clear that up while it is within the heart of the sun and has the ear of the king, which is the sun. So very interesting. I'm just looking at it when it's exact, and here comes the moon with Pluto. It might get a little intense, but, you know, that intensity could be inspiring. So yeah, I really like that use of that. We're going to have to go listen to very moving speeches.
I like moving speeches.
So do I.
And then so finally we have the Mercury conjunct the sun.
Yes.
And, you know, like we said earlier, that's having the king's ear. That's, you know, you were going through, you know, you're coming close to the sun, you're getting hot, you're getting closer, you're combust. Then you go sit in the heart of the sun, and, you know, you have almost a boost of vitality, or that planet gets a boost of vitality. And I think that the sun kind of directs and gives the planets their kind of their marching papers of, this is what I want you to do, because the conjunctions, you know, they are the starting points of a whole series of it's the starting point of, what am I trying to say? It's the starting point of, you know, when the conjunct, when they have the a new cycle. Yeah. And so it's in a forward direction. So it's almost like getting marching orders from the sun to say, okay, now this is the plan. This is what we're going to do, you know? So
yeah. And
I view the sun as kind of like the quarterback of our solar system.
Is the quarterback the most important person in football? I don't follow football, so he's the one in charge. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've put this, if you can see this up here, I've said Mercury conjunct the sun. A lot of people would say it should be sun conjunct Mercury, but it's actually Mercury catching up and conjoining the sun, and then it's going to overtake it. And then later on, the sun will, you know, catch up as Mercury slows down, and eventually the sun will catch up. The sun will conjunct Mercury. But this is the, now I'm trying to think, is this the inferior or the, I think this is the superior conjunction.
Superior.
Superior?
Yep.
Yep, superior conjunction. I think this is, I think they're both opposite Earth at this time. I know we did a video about Mercury retrograde, and in it we do cover all this. And, you know, it's just sometimes you kind of got to think, oh, was that superior, inferior? But I think, yeah, superior. Yeah. I really, that Neptune's still clouding things. But yeah, that Neptune can be idealistic. It can be altruistic. So that could be very nice. I just mentioned before, and I'm going to mention again. So if you're listening, I'm sorry, but I cut these up and I want this in the cazimi one. Yeah, it's like, some people believe it's like, you know, the planet, in this case, Mercury, it's like a man on his sick bed. He's made a recovery. He's better. He's over the worst of the illness, but he's not fully recovered yet, which he's come through being under the beams. He couldn't be seen because he was outshone by the sun. He's got too close to the sun. He's been burnt up. He's having a rest and a respite here. He's kind of catching his breath, having something to drink. You know, he's kind of, the king's kind of like, okay, you've traveled all this way. And in this case, particularly because Mercury is in Pisces, is as far away as he can possibly be from his usual place of Virgo opposite, or Gemini, which is square it. He's like a stranger in a strange land. You know, he's had to sneak in, and he's got the king's ear. So, you know, if the king gives you an audience, that's quite important. So yeah, hopefully this can be quite good. And this is what happens sometimes with Mercury in Pisces, because we are ruled by Jupiter, and we do like to ramble. And see, yeah, this is also indicative of almost like that Neptune too. We've spoken about how sometimes, even though the planetary energies, it's kind of like you can almost evoke them by speaking about them sometimes. There's that blurriness. I'm kind of all over the place. But yeah, nice. Mercury conjunct the sun, it's cazimi, hopefully quite good. It lasts about a day or so. Mercury's moving really quick at this time, about 199% of its usual speed, because when Mercury comes up to the sun, it is moving really quick. It is moving quickish when it's retrograde, but I mean, when it's retrograde, it's moving slower than normal, and it's going retrograde. So, but yeah, coming up to the sun and conjoining and then moving just past the sun, Mercury's at its fastest then. So
a nice aspect. A nice aspect when Mercury conjuncts the sun.
I think
it's good for thinking.
I think it's a real saving grace for this Mercury. Yeah.
But, you know, like we said earlier, do be watchful. You know, it is squaring Mars. So it could inspire you to do action.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully at the time of the actual cazimi, yeah, Donna brought up rousing speeches would be great for something like that, inspiring people. And because you've got that Neptune there, all that idealism, all that altruistic stuff. You got Moon coming up to conjoin Pluto at the same time, so you got that emotional depth and intensity. Yeah, that would be a really good use of it. But yeah, if someone starts on you, yeah, just be aware it's, you probably got your facts mixed up, or they've got their facts mixed up. Easy to bite at this time though, or what's the word, to take the bait at this time.
And then the next aspect on the same day is going to be Venus sextile Saturn.
I do like Venus making a sextile aura, trying to Saturn. Brings a little bit of stability and kind of grounds that Venus a little bit. If Venus is strong, that Saturn's not as strong as it used to be. That Saturn is, what's it got? It's in its decan. It's still learning all about being in Pisces. Could be quite, yeah, it's kind of a bit of a looser Saturn than we've been used to over the last couple of years. So,
Yeah, and this is going to happen. This is here. It's going to fall on St. Patrick's Day in the United States. I don't know if the dates are in other parts of the world. If these aspects will be falling on your St. Patrick's Day, but in the United States, yeah. So we'll be, with family and that type of thing, and friends, and
yeah,
maybe a beer
I'm just
for
looking at
those people who.
Venus in green here. I think green is I think olive is one of Venus's colors, isn't it? But green for Venus.
Yes,
I
it
do
is.
like that for St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, maybe you'll kiss a cute Irish person. Who knows?
Well,
Well,
yeah,
you could do worse.
that's
You could do a
possible.
lot worse.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's an aspect where it'll help you mind your boundaries.
I think this just brings a little bit of stability and yeah, maybe maintaining or establishing boundaries within relationships or within values. And when we talk about relationships, the first one that pops up for a lot of people is romantic, but it's also our friendships. It's also just our relationships in general, it's our values and also art and beauty. It's things like music and it covers a lot of things. And that Saturn is boundaries. It can say no, but I mean, this is a sextile. It should be helpful. It's blending. That Saturn is a lot softer than it has been lately. It's kind of been super strict these last couple of years or last 5 years. Yeah, it's still finding its feet.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit loose. It's ruled by Jupiter now. It's Jupiter's, much more enthusiastic and optimistic. Saturn's not completely comfortable with that, but he might lighten up a little bit. So
It's a little bit of responsibility with Venus.
yeah.
Yes, you can have fun. Yes, you can be inclusive, but there should be an air of responsibility.
Well, I think with Venus too, and I know we've spoken about this before. Venus is all about sociability, harmony, all that sort of thing, inclusiveness. But Venus, particularly when it comes to relationships, it's also very much not just what we want, but what we don't want. There is that element of discriminating, like, well, no, I'm not interested in that, or no, I don't like that, or no, I won't stand for that. That goes against my values or whatever. And Saturn is the planet of those. So this could be a time where it's kind of like, yeah, you're establishing those boundaries or defining them or something similar. Yeah. It's not necessarily like, it can be stabilizing. And because like in relationships, Saturn gets a bad rap and I'm pretty hard on him myself, but you do want Saturn there for stability. And it can bring that, but Saturn is also no. And, we do need to draw boundaries at times, particularly in relationships,
Exactly.
particularly if you're drunk
So
on
for
St.
St.
Patrick's
Patrick's Day, keep your wits about you. Maybe drawing lines.
Well, no, I think this is good.
Um,
It's a sextile. I think it will be fine. I hope.
Absolutely, but there's nothing that's saying that lines are not necessary
Mm-hmm.
and helpful.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And then on the 18th, we have Mercury sextile Pluto. So yeah, Mercury almost out of Pisces, out of where it is in detriment and in fall. It is still within a degree of the sun. No, it's not. It's past the degree, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
back being combust. So this is a weak Mercury. It is yeah, combust. It's stranger in a strange land. It's not kind of concentrating on the finer details. It's more interested in ideas and visions and enthusiasm and optimism and just big picture thinking. And here it is with a sextile to Pluto. Sextiles are often considered a soft aspect, but we kind of, I think you agree with me with this, Donna, the soft aspects from the outers or to the outers can be quite challenging.
Yes.
It can just allow the outer planet to do what it wants more freely. It's just like, yep, no barrier here. That gate wasn't going to stop
it
me.
removes the obstacles of what it wants to do.
Exactly. That obstacle wasn't going to stop it anyway, but this just makes it so much easier for it. Yeah. So Pluto, transformation, honesty, depth, can be issues to do with power struggles or power dynamics. So this is thinking maybe transformative thinking at this time, maybe could even be issues to do with somebody maybe trying to not manipulate, but or perhaps even manipulate on certain occasions, but issues to do with, yeah, maybe someone trying to, yeah, I suppose manipulate is the word I want. It's
Simply
thinking,
change somebody's way of
communications.
thinking.
Yeah, transformative thinking, depth, deep and meaningful conversations. Mercury will get out of Pisces and go into Aries. And I really like Mercury in Pisces. I've got Mercury in Pisces. I think it's very maligned, but in this case, it's too close to the sun. I'm glad to see it get out. It's still going to be combust the sun, but at least it's going to be out from being in detriment and in fall. I'm glad to see this.
And hopefully the fighting words are over as it removes itself from the availability of being in a square with Mars.
I don't
that'll be
think
nice.
so. I think Mercury in Aries is more than capable of saying something blunt and not quite thought through. And
Oh, you do have a point. You do have a point.
I love my Mercury in Aries people. You know where you stand with them, but yeah, they can be pretty to the point. Can be a little bit harsh sometimes.
A little blunt.
Yeah,
I like the word harsh for Aries, Mercury and Aries. Yeah. And
yeah.
as I've said before, when a planet goes into a new sign, which Mercury moving into Aries will do, journal.
Yeah.
It can be impactful.
Yeah. So wherever Aries is in your chart, you may be thinking, communicating, or got more communications in general with people or topics associated with that house. You may find that these thinking and communications don't go as well as you would like for a little while, because that Mercury is still very close to the sun. It's combust. It's going to take a little while. I'm not sure when exactly it gets out from under the beams, but let's have a quick look. Maybe a week or two. Mercury is moving pretty fast, so looks like early April it will get out from under the beams. April 1st, I like that. April Fools. Yes.
Yep.
So Mercury and Aries. Yeah. So you're going to be for most of March. Thinking's not. I like that because, March hare. Yeah. Alice in Wonderland and the March hare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. Just be aware you when you're communicating with others, you may be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more hasty. When you're reading directions or whatever, slow down. It's easy to kind of skim over things and assume that this. With Mercury combust or under the beams at the time, for most of March, it's really easy to overlook those sorts of things, I think. Yeah.
Need to be aware of the planetary energies so you know how to navigate them with the least amount of chaos.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a case of you can avoid some of these things. I think, but sometimes I find it's helpful to know why, if I'm having a really hectic
Right.
day and I kind of look and it's like, oh, that's why. My Mercury's been activated or my Mars is being activated or, it's like, oh, well, that's why. Yeah.
And at least you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you can, like, we were talking earlier about one of the aspects, I think it was Mars. I forget what Mars was doing, but it was causing trouble. And yeah, we were worried about you cutting yourself. So you're not allowed to be in the kitchen for the whole of March, are you?
No,
You can try that. I don't think it'll work fast.
I have band-aids at the ready.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, Mercury and Aries. Yeah, like Donna says, journal. Yeah, feisty. This is, yeah, good, quick thinking, though. Rapid thinking, hasty thinking sometimes, though, you know. And then we have Sun sextile Pluto. Again, with these 29 degrees, the anaretic degrees. So, yeah, this could be quite transformative health-wise because the sun is our vitality. It could be being very in-depth and honest with yourself, transformative in some ways. It could be power plays because even though it's a sextile, it's coming from an outer, which just allows that outer to kind of do it at once without any obstacles. It's, yeah, hopefully a
Yeah,
positive one.
exactly. Yeah, the sun sextile Pluto. And you have to remember, both of these planets are wanting to wrap up whatever energy they wanted to bring to that sign. So at 29 degrees, they're like, all right, how do we, now that we've all eaten, let's clean up the mess is what the 29th degree in from my perspective is what it's doing. It's like, okay, well, now what do we do to be able to move on?
Mm.
What energy do we need? So we might see a lot of transformation happening.
Yeah, because I mean, these are both at 29 degrees, 57 minutes. And I mean, there's 60 minutes to a degree. So we're 3 minutes from moving into Aries Sun and Aries Ingress, which is like the start of the whole astrological year. So yeah, this is it could be quite intense. I'm really interested to see what the Aries Ingress is like.
Oh yeah, that will be so interesting.
Mm,
We
mm,
did a Aries Ingress last year, and that was very interesting on what each country is going to go through for the rest of the year, or um, sometimes 3 months or 6 months. So it's very interesting, and it relates to what the country is going to. One of the oldest mundane branches of astrology, and what they used to do 4,000 years. This would determine on this day on March 20th would determine, are the crops going to be good? Will the king
mm,
survive? Will
mm,
we go to war? These are all things that the country wants to know and has been practiced for over 4,000 years. So a
mm.
big day when the sun moves into a new sign,
Oh, totally. But
which
particularly
will be
Aries.
happening later on that day, apparently.
Yeah, well, it can't be far away. Let's have a
Yeah,
look.
yeah. So this Pluto, it's like, what do we need to wrap up? And then the
Yeah.
sun shoots right into Aries. So
Yeah, well, the Sun sextile Pluto is at 3:12, and then we've got Sun into Aries at 4:24. So yeah,
just
just
a
over.
little over. So
Mm. But yeah, Aries Ingress, it's almost like a solar return for, when we use it, the Aries Ingress chart to look at countries, it's kind of almost like a solar return for the country, what's going to happen in the coming year. And we'll be doing another Aries Ingress for this 2023 year.
fingers crossed. Yeah,
Well, hopefully,
it's not
yes.
done yet, but that's the plan.
That's the plan, yes. Yes, with all that
Yeah.
Mercury stuff happening beforehand. Yeah. Electronics might fail. Touch wood. So we'll do our best. We'll see how it goes. So yeah,
Yeah.
Aries, Sun into Aries. So wherever Aries is in your natal chart, you know, the focus for the month will be on that area's topics or people associated with that house. We do have Mercury in there, still very close to the sun, being burnt up. Got Chiron in there and Jupiter. So the Jupiter sun will be nice in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Very nice. And it will be for any astrologers that are out there listening, it will
Mhm.
be International Astrology Day. So happy International Astrology, Lynda.
Yes, happy International Astrologers Day to you too.
Thank you. On the 20th.
And I
Oh
look
my
ahead at the
gosh,
new moon
look
in
at them all
Aries.
bunched.
Look at all that. New moon in Aries, Mercury combust under the beams. Venus can't see it, Saturn can't see it, Mars making a square. Slightly wide square, but Mars is its ruler too, so that's interesting. Kind of sextile by sign, but square by degree. And then look at Pluto all over there by itself in Capricorn.
Ready to hop the fence.
If we take the outers out, everything's kind of encapsulated between the two malefics here, Saturn and
Yes.
Mars. At least Saturn's in aversion to all those planets in Aries, so that's something.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, that'll be
Anyway, so
should
that
be very
is all the
interesting.
aspects.
The
We've
second.
been recording for 3 hours. It doesn't seem that long, but it did seem long.
No, it doesn't. But there's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot going on with the planets where February might have had like, I don't know, five or six. It seems like March is just way busier. I mean, there's like
Mm.
five or six per week. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is a lot busier. So, and we expected this.
yeah. Well, we didn't have much choice in it. This
No,
happens.
no, you don't have a choice, but you can see it coming.
Exactly, exactly. And speaking of which, Donna, where can people find you and what services are you offering?
People can get a hold of me at donnabastrology.com. I have my contact information there. I am available for natal readings, year ahead readings, lectional readings, horary readings as well. And I do work with energy crystal healing. So, and people call it support. And that's exactly what it is. If you have experienced traumas or want to get more focus on your brain, as well as a simple break of your leg or whatever, this kind of supports the healing towards that goal. So that's what the healing does.
Very
And
good.
Lynda, what are you doing, and where can people get a hold of you?
I'm at Scullywag Astrology. That's astrology.scullywag.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to try and get back on Twitter, maybe. We'll see. Yeah, we're hoping with this Mars going direct, well, not direct, getting out from under the shadow period, maybe we're going to start doing a couple more other recordings, podcasts, as well as the full moon and the new moon ones. Also, I personally offer natal chart readings, relationship readings, and timing, year ahead readings. So, yes.
Very
So
nice.
thank you for listening. Particularly if it runs this long, I've got to edit this. So I can't imagine having to edit a whole hour out of it, though. Damn. Mercury and Pisces. I think
But
I've got quite wordy in parts there. So
the challenge is on.
Yeah, and now I pay for it by having to edit it all. So, but thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to share, like, or
And
subscribe.
subscribe.
And we love your comments too. So we'd love to hear your comments about how the different energies are playing for you. So
And if you
thanks
get a
for
chance
listening.
to work with Vanadinite, it's a great stone.
Okay, so thank you. Bye.
Bye.